Tuweze kupata kimya kifupi, tutafakari maneno tuliyoyasikia.
The end. Archbishop Anthony Mwai talked about the fight for goodness, the fight to live at peace with one another.
Tuweze kusimama kwa sala za waumini.
And now
Tumuombe. Kwa dhati Mungu Baba Mwenyezi ambaye alimfufua Kristo mwana wake toka wafu kwa ajili ya wokovu wa wazima na wafu.
Sala kwa ajili ya kanisa. Tuliombee kanisa takatifu ili liendelee kuwa kielelezo cha matumaini, ukweli na haki. Tuliombee ili liweze kutekeleza majukumu yake ya kinabii, kifalme na kikuhani kwa ujasiri. Bwana utusikie.
Sala kwa ajili ya taifa. Tumuombe Mungu kwa unyenyekevu ili auelekeze uso wake wa rehema juu ya nchi yetu ya Kenya. Ambariki viongozi wetu na wazalendo wa Kenya ili wajishughulishe na manufaa ya wote. Tumuulize Mungu pia atakaze kwa njia ya pekee hasa wakati huu wa kujiandaa kwa uchaguzi wa kitaifa, ili upendo, amani na haki vidumishwe na vitawale. Bwana utusikie.
Bwana twakuomba utusikie.
Sala kwa ajili ya familia. Tuiombe familia ya marehemu Rais mstaafu Emilio Mwai Kibaki, ili Bwana wetu ambaye ni chanzo cha utulivu na faraja awajalie amani rohoni wakati huu wa majonzi. Bwana utusikie.
Sala kwa ajili ya marehemu wote. Pelekeze roho za marehemu wote mbele ya Mungu aliyejaa neema, ili wapate pumziko la milele kwake, aliye chanzo cha uhai na baraka zote. Bwana utusikie.
Bwana, tunakuomba dua na maombi yetu yawasaidie watumishi wako marehemu, na sana sana baba yetu Rais Mwai Kibaki, ili wafutie dhambi zao zote na washirikishe ukombozi wako kwa njia ya Kristo Bwana wetu.
Naomba tuketi. Ni wakati wa matoleo, na katika ibada ya leo tutakuwa tuna matoleo ya mkate na divai, na kwa hivyo ni vyema tujue ya kwamba sisi wote tuliopo hapa hatutakuwa na matoleo ya fedha za mifuko. Kwaya, wimbo wa sadaka. Nataka kurudia tangazo hilo na kufanya clarification ya kwamba hatuna matoleo ya fedha za mifuko. Tafadhali tusipate watu wanaokota sadaka huko mwisho. Kwaya, tuendelee.
Asante, asante,
Sasa tunaelekea kufikia kilele cha ibada takatifu ya misa. We are now just about to get to the apex of the holy sacrifice of mass, and so we request that we humbly keep upstanding as we get led through the Eucharistic prayer of consecration. Tafadhali tusimame.
Salini ndugu na dada. Sadaka yangu na yenyu ikubaliwe na Mungu Baba Mwenyezi. Bwana apokea sadaka mikononi mwako kwa sifa na utukufu wa jina lake, na pia kwa mafaa yetu sisi na mafaa ya kanisa lake lote takatifu. Bwana uwe radhi kuvipokea vipaji vyetu, ili huyu mtumishi wako Emilio Mwai Kibaki, raisi na baba mpendwa, apokelewe katika utukufu pamoja na mwanao, ambaye kwa njia ya sakramenti yake kuu ya upendo wote wanaunganishwa naye, anayeishi na kutawala daima na milele. Bwana awe nanyi. Inueni mioyo. Tumshukuru Bwana Mungu wetu. Kweli ni vema na haki, tendo la kufaa na kuleta wokovu. Tukushukuru wewe daima na popote, Bwana Baba uliye mtakatifu, Mungu mwenyezi wa milele, kwa njia ya Kristo Bwana wetu. Yeye ndiye yule mmoja aliyepokea mauti ili sisi sote tusije tukafa, ila mmoja tu alikubali kufa kusudi sote tupate kuishi kwa ajili yako milele. Kwa hiyo pamoja na malaika wa mbinguni tunakusifu tukiungama kwa furaha. Eucharistic prayer. Bwana kweli mtakatifu, na kila kiume kilichumbwa nawe kinakusifu kwa haki, maana kwa njia mwanao Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo na kwa uwezo tendaji wa Roho Mtakatifu unavitia uzima vitu vyote na kuvitakatifuza, wala uachi kuwakusanya watu kwako, ili toka mawio ya jua hata macho yake dhabihu safi itolewe kwa jina lako. Basi Bwana, tunakusihi kwa unyenyekevu vipaji hivi ambavyo tumekutolea, ili uvitakase, upende kuvitakatifuza kwa Roho huyo huyo, ili viwe mwili na damu ya mwanao Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo, aliyetuamuru tuadhimishe mafumbo haya. Maana yeye mwenyewe usiku ule alipotolewa alitwaa mkate, na akikushukuru aliubariki, akaumega na kawapa wafuasi wake akisema, twaeni mle nyote, huu ndio mwili wangu utakaotolewa kwa ajili yenu. Hivyo baada ya kula, akitwaa kikombe na kukushukuru, alikibariki na akawape wafuasi wake akisema, twaeni mnywe nyote, hiki ndicho kikombe cha damu yangu, damu ya agano jipya na la milele, itakayomwagika kwa ajili yenu na kwa ajili ya wengi kwa maondoleo ya dhambi. Fanyeni hivi kwa ukumbusho wangu. Fumbo la imani. Kwa hiyo Bwana, tunapoadhimisha ukumbusho wa mateso ya mwanao yaletao wokovu pamoja na ufufuko wake wa ajabu na kupaa kwake mbinguni, na tunapoutazamia ujio wake wa pili, tunakutolea kwa shukrani sadaka hii iliyo hai na takatifu. Na kuomba uyaangalie matoleo ya kanisa yako, na kwa kutambua yeye aliye kafara ambaye ulitaka kutulizwa na sadaka ya kifo chake, tujalie sisi tunaotiwa nguvu kwa mwili na damu ya mwanao na kujazwa Roho wake Mtakatifu, pate kuwa mwili moja na roho moja katika Kristo.
Yeye atufanye sisi tuwe kwako sadaka ya timilifu ya milele, ili tuweze kupata urithi pamoja na wateule wako, kwanza kabisa pamoja na Bikira Maria mwenye heri, mama wa Mungu, na mtakatifu Yosefu mume wake, na mitume wake wenye heri, na watakatifu wako matukufu, pamoja na mataifa na watakatifu wako wote, ambao tunategemea kupata daima msaada wa maombezi yao mbele yako. Tunakuomba Bwana, huyu aliye kafara na upatanisho wetu, alete amani na wokovu duniani kote. Upende kulimalisha kanisa lako, kuliongeza imani na mapendo kanisa hili lako linalo safiri hapa duniani, pamoja na mtumishi wako Baba Mtakatifu wetu Francisco, askofu wetu mkuu Antonio, pamoja na maaskofu wote, wakilelo wote, na watu wote unaofanya kuwa taifa lako.
Umkumbuke mtumishi wako baba yetu Rais Mwai Kibaki, uliyemwita kwako kutoka dunia hii. Mjalie kwamba yeye ambaye alishirikishwa kifo cha mwanao kwa ubatizo, hali kadhalika ashiriki ufufuko wake, siku ambayo atawafufua wafu katika miili yao kutoka ardhini. Hapo ataufananisha mwili wa unyonge wetu na mwili wa utukufu wake. Pia wapokee kwa wema katika ufalme wako ndugu zetu marehemu na wote walioaga dunia wakiwa wamekupendeza. Nasi tunatumaini kufika katika ufalme huo, ili pamoja tushibishwe milele kwa utukufu wako. Ndipo utakapofuta kila chozi katika macho yetu, maana kwa kuona wewe Mungu wetu kama ulivyo, tutafanana nawe milele yote na kukusifu bila mwisho, kwa njia ya Kristo Bwana wetu, ambaye kwa njia yake unaujalia ulimwengu mema yote. kwa njia yake na pamoja naye na ndani yake, wewe Mungu Baba Mwenyezi, katika umoja wa Roho Mtakatifu, unapata heshima na utukufu wote milele na milele. Kwa kulitii agizo la mkombozi wetu na tukifuata mafundisho yake ya kimungu, tunadhubutu kusema: Baba yetu uliye mbinguni, jina lako litukuzwe, ufalme wako ufike, utakalo lifanyike duniani kama mbinguni. Tupe leo mkate wetu wa kila siku, tusamehe makosa yetu kama tunavyo wasamehe na sisi waliotukosea, usitutie katika kishawishi, ili utuopoe. Bwana, tunakuomba utuopoe katika maovu yote, tujalie kwa wema amani maishani mwetu, kusudi kwa msaada wa huruma yako tuopolewe daima na dhambi, wala tusifadhaishwe na jambo lolote, tunapotazamia tumaini lenye heri na ujio wa mkombozi mwokozi wetu Yesu Kristo. Kwa kuwa ufalme wako
na nguvu na utukufu hata milele.
Bwana Yesu Kristo, uliyewaambia mitume wako, amani na waachieni, amani yangu na wapa, usiwatazame dhambi zetu ila tu imani ya kanisa lako. Pende kulijalia amani na umoja kama yalivyo mapenzi yako, na ishi na kutawala milele na milele. Amani ya Bwana iwe daima nanyi.
Iwe pia nawe.
Peane amani.
Tazama mwana kondoo wa Mungu. Tazama aondoaye dhambi za dunia. Heli wao walioalikwa kwenye karamu ya mwana kondoo.
Bwana,
mimi ni ufufuo na uzima, asema Bwana. Anisadikie mimi, hata kama atakufa ataishi, na kile anayeishi na kunisadiki hata kufa milele. Haleluya.
Tafadhali tuketi. Ni wakati wa kupokea Ekaristi Takatifu, na watakaopokea ni Wakristo wa Katoliki pekee ambao wameruhusiwa na ambao wamejiandaa. Kwaya wimbo wa komunyo. Kwa unyenyekevu tusimame.
Tuombe. Bwana, tumeadhimisha sakramenti ya Pasaka kwa ajili ya mtumishi wako baba wetu Rais Mwai Kibaki. Tunakuomba umjalie aingie katika makao ya mwanga na amani kwa njia ya Kristo Bwana wetu.
Mutembei
Inamisha vichwa tupokee baraka.
Bwana awe nanyi. Mungu aliyependa kuwajalia mema ya ukombozi na kuwafanya wana wa ufufuko wa mwana pekee, awajalie mfurahie kwa pamoja baraka yake. Amina. Naye aliyewajalia zawadi ya uhuru wa kudumu awafanye mashiriki wa urithi wa uzima wa milele kwa kazi yake ya ukombozi. Nanyi mliofufuka katika ubatizo kwa njia ya imani, mstahili kuunganishwa naye katika makao ya mbinguni kwa kuishi kiadilifu hapa duniani. Na baraka za Mungu Mwenyezi, Baba na Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu ziwashukie na kukaa nanyi daima.
Nendeni na amani. Haleluya, haleluya.
Tumshukuru Mungu.
Wimbo kwaya.
Tafadhali tuketi. Tukiwa na shukrani kwa kila mmoja wetu aliyopo hapa kwa kushiriki vyema Katika ibada hiyo takatifu ya misa ambayo tumekamilisha, sasa ningetaka kwa heshima kuu kumwalika Baba Askofu Mkuu Anthony Muheria, askofu mkuu wa jimbo kuu la Nyeri, aweze kutuelekeza katika program ifuatayo. Karibu Baba Askofu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, Your Excellency, our Deputy President, Your Excellency, our former Prime Minister, all distinguished leaders, especially the governors here present, and all government officials and leaders of all levels. Our dear people of God gathered here to mourn and give a good send-off for our dear father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and mentor president of our country, Kenya. We want to acknowledge all the people here present, and allow me yet again to convey this kind request that from the family and from the wish of His Excellency President Mwai Kibaki, and in his honor, that we will not have political speeches. It is something that we admire this great man and statesman, and therefore all of us who mourn, and yet we have our own desires to express our relation, great admiration for our president. Let us be really satisfied with a good prayer wherever you are, and giving this great man the respect and honor he deserves. Having said that, allow me to, within this spirit of prayer, we will say the last prayer, which will be led by our Bishop Philip Solometi of commendation. But before then, it is only fair that we give a few moments to the tributes for the family and also from a few of us. Before that moment, let us invite the persons reading the eulogy to come and read the eulogy of our dear President, Mwai Kibaki, so that we can all feel with his life and unite ourselves to pray for him.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta, Your Excellencies, the Deputy President and the Second Prime Minister of the Republic, my Lord Bishops, colleague governors, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Reading the eulogy for you is myself, Nerito Moreithi, and
Ryan Mwai. I am a grandson of His Excellency, the former President.
Or as he is more popularly known in the family, Big Mwai. Your Excellency, perhaps heeding the bishop's request, and in honor of the departed president, and the bishop did request that we should learn to say sorry more often. May I just request, please, turn to the person sitting next to you and say sorry. Your Excellency, and the congregation, we thank you. So here it goes. Leo Tolstoy once said that there is no greatness where there is no simplicity, goodness, and truth. And here, therefore, is the life and times of His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, CGH, third President of Kenya. That Mwai Kibaki was a humble man who loved simplicity is well known. That he was a good and great man is an acknowledged fact. That he cherished truth and fairness is not in doubt. Mwai Kibaki recognized that serving others is life's greatest joy and its ultimate reward. To millions of Kenyans, he was the brightest of 1,000 points of light. In him, Kenyans found reason to hope, the courage to dream, and a man to emulate. Mwai Kibaki's life is intertwined with, with our nation's history. But besides being a story of a commander-in-chief of great accomplishments, it is a story of a deeply devoted family man, a beloved son, a dear husband, a cherished father, and a grandfather, a treasured brother, and a dutiful uncle and relative to many. Mwai Kibaki taught us that public service is noble and necessary. He showed us that one can serve with passion and utmost integrity. In fidelity to our shared humanity, he heeded the call to serve his country and never looked back, earning the profound privilege to serve as a teacher, lawmaker, cabinet minister, vice president, leader of the official opposition, and as president of the Republic of Kenya. He undertook his duties with a distinct sense of civility and dignity, and will undoubtedly inspire many in Kenya, East Africa, Africa, and beyond for years to come. Sunrise. Mwai Kibaki was born to Kibaki Gedenji and Teresia Wanjiku on the 15th of November 1931 in Dhongori village in the present-day Othaya sub-county in Nyeri County. He was the last born in a family of 6. His siblings are the late Wagui, the late Gedenji, the late Kenywa Waiderero, who is here with us today, the late Derito, and the late Waruguru. During his childhood, a time when Kibaki and his age mates routinely engaged in tending goats and calves near home, a peculiar structure erected in the area caught his fancy. He was to learn later that the unusual edifice constructed by Catholic missionaries was essentially come school. As fate would have it, young Kibaki ended up being part of the new world that this new phenomenon portended. He attended his preparatory school, dubbed Sub-A and Sub-B there. At first, his father was a little skeptical about young Kibaki's peculiar venture. However, Kibaki's enthusiasm to become part of the novel adventure was unstoppable, and so his long and illustrious academic enterprise started in earnest. After successfully completing his foundational schooling, Mwai Kibaki joined Gatuyaini Primary School, where he spent 2 years. Back then, there was no telling where this journey would land him. However, being the diligent and bright boy he was, his prospective fortunes were already ascertainable. As it came to pass, Mwai Kibaki was destined for greatness. Those who knew Mwai Kibaki from his childhood days through his time at Makerere University speak of a man who, right from the start, knew what he wanted to become and the path he wanted to follow to achieve it. Nothing, it would seem, was coincidental or fortuitous about his life. Everything seemed aligned to purposefulness. Kibaki later joined the Holy Ghost Catholic Missionaries Karima Mission School, which is today Karima Primary School, for another 3 years. From there, he went to Madari School, later named Nyeri High School, before joining the Mangu High School, discovering Yonda. It was at Mangu High School that greatly transformed Kibaki's life. Started by Catholic priests, Mangu High School became the melting pot in which some of the best brains in the country were chaperoned into greatness. The founders of Mangu High School were keen on establishing an institution firmly anchored in the Catholic faith and fully committed to the pursuit of academic excellence. After excelling at Mangu High School, Kibaki joined Makerere University College in Uganda to pursue a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics, history, and political science. He emerged as one of the best students in the Faculty of Arts in 1955, attaining a first-class honors degree. After graduation, Kibaki was employed at Shell Uganda as an assistant sales manager. He resigned when he secured a scholarship to study for a Bachelor of Science in Political Science, in Public Finance, sorry. I repeat. He resigned when he secured a scholarship to study for a Bachelor of Science in Public Finance at the prestigious London School of Economics and Political Science, LSE. At LSE, Kibaki became the first African to graduate with a first-class honors degree. Mwai Kibaki returned to Makerere as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Economics. The university would, years later, in 2012, bestow upon him an honorary Doctor of Laws degree as a testament to his distinguished and outstanding contribution to public service at the national, regional, and international levels. The tree and its branches. Just as a farmer plants a small seed which grows to become a large tree with branches that yield a bounty of fruits, as well as providing a safe and secure shade, Mwai Kibaki settled back home when he met and wedded Lucy Muthoni in the year 1961. Their union bore them one daughter and 3 sons, Judy Wanjiko, Jimmy Kibaki, David Kagai, and Tony Githenji. Today, the home is also filled with 7 grandchildren, being Joy Marie, Ryan Mwai, Christina Muthoni, George Mwai, Jeremy Mwai, Anna Lisa Muthoni, and Leah Rose Muthoni. Political inclination. Makerere was where Mwai Kibaki launched his political career. He was elected chairman of the Kenya Students Association as well as vice chairman of Makerere Students Guild during a watershed moment marked by heightened political consciousness right across East Africa. This was a time when the agitation to end colonial domination in Africa was at its peak. Kibaki seized that moment and distinguished himself as a champion of emancipation of the African. Mwai Kibaki's career as a lecturer lasted between 1958 and 1961, after which he resigned to become the first executive officer of Kenya's independence party, the Kenya African National Union, KANU. Mwai Kibaki put his best foot forward to strengthen KANU for victory in the 1961 elections. KANU garnered 19 out of 33 elected seats in the House of Representatives. Mwai Kibaki himself was elected Member of Parliament for Donholm in 1963 and appointed Parliamentary Secretary to the National Treasury. He continued to hold his position as KANU's executive officer and gained immense respect across the board, much to the chagrin of his adversaries. Also notable is that Mwai Kibaki was a key architect, together with the late Tom Mboya, of the acclaimed sessional paper number 10 of 1965, titled African Socialism and its Application to Planning in Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, I want now to ask Big Mwai to proceed.
Joining the cabinet. Mwai Kibaki became a full cabinet minister on May 3rd, 1966, when he was appointed Minister for Commerce and Industry. He would 3 years later be appointed to serve his nation as a Minister for Finance. During his tenure at the National Treasury, Mwai Kibaki guided the country through a global economic turndown and managed to steady the fortunes of a relatively young economy to safe shores. Given Kibaki's notable exploits in the arena of leadership, former World Bank President Robert McNamara described him as one of the greatest economic brains to have emerged from Africa. Kibaki's former lecturer at Makerere, Professor Kenneth Ingham, believed that Kibaki had stayed long enough in academia. He would have ended up as a president of the World Bank. A rising star. Upon the demise of the founding father of the nation, President Jomo Kenyatta, in 1978, Kibaki became President Daniel Arap Moi's vice president. Kibaki's star was clearly on a climbing trajectory. While at the Ministry of Finance and later as vice president, Kibaki's adeptness, guided by his economic and fiscal outlook, transformed Kenya's economy. During that period, Kenya benefited from a commodities boom, propelled by monetary policies that led to consistent economic growth. Mwai Kibaki represented his people for 50 years, effectively becoming one of the longest-serving MPs in the Commonwealth. That, though, does not mean he did not have antagonists and detractors. His unyielding resolve to succeed and conspicuous political charm handed him serial victory at the ballot. In 1988, Mwai Kibaki was moved from the twin docket of Vice President and Minister for Home Affairs to the Ministry of Health. He took this unseemly turn of events in his stride. Neither did he cause a stir nor turn into a rebel. In fact, Kibaki went on to tattoo an indelible mark in the ministry when he momentarily waived cost-sharing measures imposed on healthcare service delivery by donors. The 1980s were uncertain times for politicians. The ruling party, KANU, had tightened its grip on dissenting political voices than ever before. Through this difficult stretch, Kibaki maintained an aura of calmness and decency. Opposition leader. In December 1991, Mwai Kibaki announced his resignation from government and formed the Democratic Party, DP. He thus started a new political journey. When Kibaki lost the presidential election in 1992, coming third after the late President Daniel Arap Moi and Kenneth Matiba, he found himself in unfamiliar territory, the opposition. For a man who had been in government all his political life and vice president for a decade, this presented a new opportunity to serve Kenyans. He even brought a fresh wit and humor to the House, and later in his presidency by treating the public to many memorable light moments, usually in Swahili. Kibaki's political triumph finally came in 2002, when the National Rainbow Coalition, NOC, picked him as its preferred presidential candidate. He got more than 65% of the vote. On the 30th of December 2002, Kibaki was sworn in as the third president of the Republic of Kenya on a wheelchair, having survived a near-fatal accident while on the campaign trail hardly a month earlier. He served as the head of state and government until 9th April 2013, when his successor, President Uhuru Kenyatta, ascended to the presidency. Inking history, the indelible mark. No doubt a leading figure in Kenya's post-independence history, Mwai Kibaki won countless hearts of Kenyans. He has many admirers right across the globe, fondly referred to in several quarters as the gentleman of Kenyan politics. Kibaki will be remembered as an insightful and eloquent debater with a unique sense of humor. After Kenya dumped the single-party system in the early 1990s, Kibaki became a leading light in nurturing a political culture of vibrant multi-party democracy. The ruling party was kept on its toes, with Kibaki on the wheel as leader of the official opposition. His role in shaping multi-party democracy is etched in Kenya's history. Once Kibaki became president, his government introduced critical reforms in the education sector, foremost of which was the globally acclaimed free primary education program. His administration also instituted comprehensive infrastructure developments in the transport and energy sectors. Access to better healthcare took a new turn during Kibaki's tenure. Kibaki will be remembered for championing the promotion of policies that promoted economic and social empowerment, democracy, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. At the regional level, Kibaki was at the forefront in supporting the objectives of the East African Community Common Market of Trade liberalization for the citizens of the partner states of the East African Community. His commitment and conviction in matters of economic empowerment went beyond Kenya. Perhaps one of the most memorable achievements of the Kibaki era is the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution that ushered in a new dispensation whose far-reaching effects have redefined how Kenya is governed today. For 2 decades, Kenya had expressed their wish to change the constitution the country had inherited at the dawn of independence in 1963. It had been an elusive goal. At Kibaki's first attempt, it did not fly. It was his second attempt in his second term that it was finally realized. During its promulgation in August 2010, Kibaki termed the achievement the boldest step the Kenyan people have taken towards changing their lives. Kenya's 2010 Constitution is definitely a huge part of the Mwai Kibaki legacy. In retrospect, Mwai Kibaki's servant leader credentials offer seminal lessons on how best to negotiate a more rewarding future through prosperity. Kenya is today more desirable in numerous ways courtesy of the solid foundation built by an exemplary icon who no doubt loved his motherland. Fare thee well. In victory, he was gracious and magnanimous, and a magnanimous winner who brought unity. When he lost, he accepted the outcome with dignity and strove to come back better. He showed us how setbacks can strengthen the value us, the value of patience, and the power of never losing sight of one's goals. None of his disappointments could compare with one of life's greatest tragedies, the loss of his dear wife, Mama Lucy Kibaki, 6 years and 4 days ago. If there can be any consolation as we bid farewell to Mwai Kibaki, it is that he has been reunited with the love of his life, as well as with his departed parents and siblings. Mwai Kibaki knew how to be a true and loyal friend. He honored and nurtured his many friendships. He taught us what it means to protect one's family as a husband, father, and grandfather, as well as what it means to be leader of formidable accomplishment. We honor and rejoice in the lifelong companionship he enjoyed with his now departed wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Lucy Kibaki, and his love for his immediate and extended family. Our earnest prayer is that the Almighty God will be kind to Judy Wanjiku, Jimmy Kibaki, David Kagai, and Tony Gidenji and their families. In the outpouring of sympathy and adoration that followed Kibaki's demise on April 22nd, 2022, it became clear that Mwai Kibaki had an impact on his country and the world at large in a unique manner. His ingenuity in matters of economic management, his deep love for his country and dedication to its transformation, and his defining character as the gentleman who stood tall above all the muck of politics became the common chorus of the millions of people who mourned this outstanding son of Kenya and the world. Fare thee well, Your Excellency, and may your soul rest in eternal peace.
Allow me to make an unusual request. Kindly, would we be upstanding after the eulogy of this great statesman? And kindly, can we applaud him so that we can usher him in this way into heaven, and all of us have a participation in the eulogy. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Tashukuru sana kwenyu nyote kwa kumpa pongezi na kumsindikiza kwa hayo tumesikia maisha yake. We will only do a few tributes, mainly from the family who have kindly requested that they make a few tributes. It is a large family, so they will only, representatives will come up to make some brief tributes. Kindly, may I now ask, still in this spirit of prayer, that we invite Madam Judy Kibaki to make her tribute. She will be followed also by the family members thereafter of the family and of the extended family. Kindly now, I invite Judy Kibaki to just make a tribute to her dear father on behalf of the whole family. Let us welcome her also with at least an applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judy Wanjiku. I am the daughter of the late President Mwai Kibaki, and I wish to make this tribute to a very special man, my father. Mr. Mwai Kibaki was known by many names. His Othaya constituents called him Mheshimiwa. For the first 30 years he was in government, he was also called Waziri. At some point during that period, he was also called Vice President Mwai Kibaki. Then in 1993, the media started referring to him as Opposition Leader Mwai Kibaki. This title lasted 10 years. Then he was sworn in as president in December 2002. And everybody started referring to him as Your Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya. Through his journeys of transformation from Mheshimiwa to His Excellency the President, Mwai Kibaki remained just dad to me and my 3 brothers. He did everything a dad is supposed to do. He drove me to school when he did not have important early morning appointments. He attended the parents-teachers meetings when they were convened and listened keenly to what the teachers had to say about my progress, or rather lack of it, much to his consternation. He seemed to be more appraised about my diligence in making numerous friends, but not in scoring A's. He took all this in his stride, just as he did so many other things in his life. Many people have referred to my dad as their mentor. Mwai Kibaki was my mentor too. He mentored me on so many aspects of my life. Patience was one value I learned from him. He taught me that nothing good comes instantly. You must work hard at it. He said, stay focused. He often said, and those who chose to listen to his wise counsel, me included, managed to navigate the challenges that life presents. We shared Dad not just with his constituents here in Othaya, but with the rest of Kenya and in fact the whole world. People often wondered how such a high-ranking leader could have time for his family. Dad had plenty of time for me and my siblings. He blocked off his diary when we were on school vacations and took time to be with us. When our birthdays rolled around, he hosted our friends in the garden of his home for our birthday parties. Ever the jovial personality that he was, he would invite my friends' parents to stay on and be part of the celebration. They all knew Dad and his kind hospitality. By being present on our special days, and as much as possible when time allowed, he remained part and parcel of my life. He found time to fly to the United States to attend my university graduation, which was on a Sunday. He flew out of the US the same night, was back in Nairobi on Monday night, and was able to participate in his then political party's election on Wednesday morning. It was a KANU election at that time. It was a balancing act all his life, and he managed it well. You gave me sufficient time, Dad. Dad gave me time, so I also dedicated a lot of time to him too. Just as he supported me through my formative years when I was through with education, I spent a considerable amount of time supporting him in the development of his assets, something which I enjoy doing even today. This has been a lesson on give and take. One of those investments was his political career. I can honestly say that Dad's political victories were hard-won battles. I was in the thick of his 4 presidential campaigns. They were not easy, but my siblings and I came to know many people and we made many friends. These were true lessons on resilience. Dad's public life was his. He did not drag me into his public rallies and harambes. It was voluntary. Dad was a Democrat even in his own home. He knew I had other interests I wished to pursue, and he encouraged me to do so. He did not want to make me into a replica of himself. No. Dad wanted me to grow into a well-educated, focused individual with a strong character and a unique, defined personality. This is what he dreamt and hoped for every Kenyan. So he worked at it all his life because he sincerely believed that a nation of well-developed individuals would surely prosper to great heights. This was Dad's vision. My father was a great man, yes. He also had fine human qualities. He was kind and very generous. He dedicated his life to the service of Kenya. He served Kenyans with humbleness and humility. He participated in 10 general elections over a span of 50 years. Each time going back to request his constituents to re-elect him as Member of Parliament to enable him to continue serving them. Each time they did re-elect Dad because they believed him and he lived up to his promises. I can say there are many lessons that can be learned from my dad's life. One of the more important ones is that victory can be gained peacefully. Dad was peaceful at home and in his work. Your work has been diligently done, Dad. You carried yourself with so much dignity. I am at peace. Rest in peace, Dad. I will always love you.
Thank you very much. We continue with the tribute to the family.
Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, Your Excellency the Deputy President, Your Excellency Mrs. Rachel Ruto, the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and Mrs. Ida Odinga, ladies and gentlemen, before I give my tribute, I just want to call Mr. Jimmy Cairo. I know I'm breaking protocol, but Your Excellency, please indulge me. There's a reason why I am calling here. Jimmy, are you around? Jimmy Cairo, for those who don't know him, he's the son of the late Honorable David Munene Cairo. And for, I'm sure many of you know, the relationship between his father, his late father, and now my late father. It was one of those great friendships. His father was a very close friend of my father, and my mother actually. I don't know which was the greater friendship, between your father and my father, or my father and your mother, but they were very close friends. Indeed, the first time I ever saw my father shed a tear was at your father's funeral. David, in honor of that friendship, David had requested me if he could read a tribute. And here he is, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Your Excellency the President, First Lady, Deputy President, Right Honorable Raila Odinga and your family, and to the family of our friend, Honorable Mwai Kibaki, His Excellency. Mine is just a short tribute, and Jimmy, thank you very much for yielding your time. A tribute for
one of my Starehe classmates, Colonel Ismail Guhad Nur, is part of their select colonels who were selected. He's in the Kenya Air Force. And
to the 90s, there was a whisper in the circles. If you want to see Honorable Mwai Kibaki, look for Honorable Munene Cairo. They are most likely together or will be shortly. The countless harambes, political rallies, and private functions, you were inseparable. In 1988, when our dad was released from Kengongo prison, he told us he was only attending a government seminar. We knew he was targeted for supporting you. You both loved Kenya so much and used your knowledge and economic influence to change lives, and lives you did change. Today, Kenya stands because you stood up for it. For us who remain, we will finish what remained uncompleted. Thank you for applauding and officially endorsing my work in 2014, even after you had left office, specifically for promoting public-private partnerships and programs for sovereign-level development. By working closely and collaborating with international development partners and the National Treasury and planning, where you were ahead for a very long time. You advised us and left us with an elaborate Marshall Plan that will surely change the lives of Kenyans for good, based on your Vision 2030. We thank you for this. On matters corruption, you set up institutions that continue the fight against graft and economic crimes, which rob the nation and its people of their hard-earned and honest sweat. For this, we applaud you, cuts to amass wealth by dipping into public coffers. You detested such characters and even chased them from your government. On matters political succession, you already showed us the way with your political handshake with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, which led to the formation of the Grand Coalition Government of 2008 to 2012. His Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, repeated the same some 10 years with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, which led to the formation of the Grand Coalition Government of 2008 to 2012. His Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, repeated the same some 10 years later in 2018 and proceeded to establish the Building Bridges Initiative with the Right Honorable Prime Minister, my good friend. You both showed Kenyans that they can work together and prosper together, especially when they put their political differences aside. You brought the country together once in your life, as you have once again brought it together with your passing. Thank you for your continued calls for national unity, peace, reconciliation, and tolerance. We are indeed our brother's keepers, and we know what your last wishes were for the future leadership of this country. Last but not least, you were a great man of faith and a devout Catholic. You walked with God all through your life, and your life was a testament in itself of God's hand. May Almighty God and His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior and Redeemer, receive your spirit and reward your soul with eternal life. Rest in peace, Your Excellency, President Emilio Mwai Kibaki. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Allow me to request that the tributes be brief so that we can go to the next stage. Sorry, Jimmy.
Yes, Your Grace, I'll be very brief because I know we are also keeping to military time. Your Excellency, I think I said what I wanted to say yesterday when we were at Nyayo Stadium. A lot of people have said a lot about my father, His Excellency President Mwai Kibaki. And the tributes have been accurate, they have been heartfelt, and we have received them as a family in the manner that they deserve. But I think I might just want to give a bit of insight into, should I say, the more relaxed side of President Mwai Kibaki. Because the tributes have been there, but they basically focused on his, public life, his tenure as a president. But he was so much more than that. Or at least those Kenyans, I would say, who are above 55 years of age and had the privilege of growing up under the parentage of this generation. In my estimation, this was Kenya's finest generation. This was a generation that built this country. The men and women who, should we say, came into government in 1963 when we got independence, dedicated their lives to the service of this country. And that is why you see, in Kenya in the 1960s and 1970s, Kenya was actually really like a paradise. We had tremendous economic growth, we had good security, we had a lot of optimism, and all the other things that go with being a young, dynamic nation. My experiences with Mzee, obviously, first and foremost, were as son to father. And my earliest, I'll just give, Your Grace, I'll just give one or two examples of how I related with my dad. My dad, I think, my whole life has been almost like a game of cat and mouse. My dad wanted me to pursue a life of excellence like he did. And in many instances, he felt that I fell short of that. An example is when I was in Form 2. Now, my grades, or academic grades in St. Mary's in Form 2, were not, should we say, representative of a son of Mwai Kibaki. The Form 1 grades were quite terrible, and the Form 2 grades were actually abysmal. So I went to take my father. We had this thing where we got our school reports, and each one of us would go into his sitting room because he had his sitting room, and we would sit with him and give the reports. Judy gave her report. Judy, by the way, that time she was in Form 3. I think she was almost a straight A student. Maybe she got 1 or 2 Bs, but the rest were A's. Then we had David. David in school, from primary school to high school, he was an academic genius. I think in academics he took after his father. Only that time you are a small boy, so you are not involved in this. But my mother made it a point that I be the last one to give my report. Mzee looked at my report, and I remember him going back up to the top of the report where your name is, because I think he was wondering, this must be a mistake. This cannot be my son. Then he asked my mother, these grades, which I will not repeat here, please, I need to keep some dignity. He said, this is out of what? Is it out of 50 or is it out of what? My mother said, this is percent. So Mzee gave me one of those looks, which I'm sure, Your Excellency, you've come across those looks when he's very angry, because he doesn't shout, but he gives you one of those piercing looks. And he said, Jimmy, let me tell you, let's do this. Forget about this school business. let me take you to Naromoro, our farm there. Look after my cows and I'll pay you a small wage. It won't be for free. And I think when he saw me actually contemplating that, he told my mother, you know, Lucy, Madare Mental Hospital is not far away from Othaya. Shall we take this boy then to get his head examined so that we can establish that it is not his brain that has a problem, he's just lazy. And I can tell you, he was quite annoyed, and he told me, you know, what we are going to do now, we are going to talk to the priests at St. Mary's and you are going to repeat Form 2. And I was like, repeating Form 2, and I've been bullying those Form 1 kids. That's not an option. But to cut a long story short, I studied like crazy, and my third term grades were actually very, very good, quite respectable. But he told me, you know, if you don't maintain those grades, you are going to be forced to repeat, and you'll be forced to repeat without warning. So throughout the rest of my high school, I decided to apply myself, because you never knew when the report actually met his standards, or whether you'd be forced to repeat. You know, my father was a lecturer, my mother was a teacher trainer, so they took academics very seriously. And I can say that they taught us that we were privileged to go to some of the best schools in Kenya, and we should not actually squander those opportunities. Like I said, my life with my father was a game of cat and mouse. Like any teenager, I think the relationship between a father and a son can sometimes be misconstrued to be one of disrespect or not respecting enough. But I really respected my father. At one point, I remember he told me, you know, Jimmy, you keep going out and coming home 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Why can't you come home at a respectable time? Respectable people are home by midnight. He told me it's only crooks and vagabonds who go out parading at all hours of the night. So he told me from now on, when you go out, be home by 1 a.m. the latest. And I told him, yes, Dad. The following weekend I went out. I knew he was going to Othaya. So normally when he came to Othaya on Saturdays, he came back on Sundays. But that day he came from Othaya very early in the morning. And I was walking into the house. I saw through, you know, there was a split in the curtains, and this was at 3 a.m. I saw Mzee sitting there. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen now? And before I knew it, he had gone and he had opened the front door, and he told me, Jimmy, remember what I told you? Get in the house. Now when I looked at Mzee, I was like, you're standing in the doorway. How am I going to get in the house when you're standing in the doorway? So what am I going to do? I decided to call my mother, because there was no way I was going anywhere near him before my mother was there. And when my mother came downstairs, Mzee told me, if you ever repeat that again, we are going to have some serious issues. And I can tell you from that time forward, I really followed his instructions. Mzee was many things to me. Obviously, first, he was my father. He was a disciplinarian. But above all, he was a role model. He was one of the finest people I have ever known. I want to take this opportunity in behalf of you all, and like His Grace said, to say a big thank you to His Excellency, President Mwai Kibaki. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Jimmy. We would like to have just a few and maybe briefs to you from the family, from the extended family. Allow us to call John Kibaki, the nephew. I think he's Forester, to make, please, just a brief tribute on behalf of the extended family. Karibu.
Excellency, our President Uhuru Kenyatta, Your Excellency Mama Ngina Kenyatta, Your Excellency Deputy President William Ruto, Your Excellency Mama Rachel Ruto, members of Kibaki family, distinguished guests, members of the clergy, and all fellow mourners who are here. My name is John Kibaki, Kenywa. I'm a nephew of the departed president. And as I stand here, I will just say a few words on behalf of the larger Kibaki family, for which I'm the chairman. So, members of the Kibaki family, including the departed president, were members of the family where I was chairman. On behalf of the larger Kibaki family, of which I'm chairman, I welcome you all to this celebration. His Excellency Mwai Kibaki has been a great inspiration to all of us in the family. His singular wish to see all members of the family grow their lives successfully was the reason he touched all of us, individually and collectively. Even as he undertook his work to serve Kenya and the world, he always found time for us whenever we required his advice. His warm demeanor, his generosity, and his sound advice at all times, coupled with many other things that make life comfortable for those that are close to you, is what we remember him for. Myself, I remember him not so much as my uncle, but as my father, because when my late father died in the Mau Mau War, he took the responsibility to grow me up with my siblings, and up to this time, we feel that he was the force behind our success in life up to where we stand today. Fare thee well, uncle. Till we meet again. In God's heart, you are in a better place. May the Lord be praised. Mwathani umunengere kihuruko gitathiraga.
No theri wa hingo ciothe no mutheragie.
Arohuruka uhoro.
Ni gutuike guo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also for your brevity. Thank you. Allow us still to welcome the family, especially the extended family from the Kagai family, the family of the former First Lady, Lucy. Would like to welcome George Njoroge to speak on behalf of that family. Karibu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Your Excellency, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the President of Kenya, and the First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta, and the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, all the dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid because of the constraint of time, I've been requested to waive this opportunity and allow Ambassador Solomon Karanja to talk, to give his tribute, because he's been working with His Excellency President Mwai Kibaki for many years, and they have done very many things together. And because we don't want to lose time, as His Grace has requested, I'm extending this opportunity to Solomon Karanja, Ambassador.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, if I sound a little bit disconnected, it's because I wasn't expecting this honor, but I'm very pleased indeed to be able to say and to affirm what kind of man we have lost in the loss of his the president, the president, the late president. Incidentally, I may have already offended. I wasn't aware that the president was around, the president, our current president. Otherwise, I would have said the necessary apologies. And please excuse me, it's this talking out of turn on the sudden is not something that some of us have been brought up to do. So I do apologize. Anyway, I'll be brief. I first met Mr. Kibaki when he was going from Makerere for a postgraduate degree at the University of London, and I was just a freshman at Makerere. And much later, when he came back, we did get together, and we learned a lot of all the things that have been said here. I can underline and say that those are the truth. When he came back from London, he eventually came. I graduated just shortly after he came back, and then worked for a company called Shell Company. And when he retired to go into, when he retired he came to Kenya, and we stayed together with him and another fellow who had come from Cambridge for a while. And then, of course, as a young man will do, you get attracted to a lady, and you propose to do the right thing with her. And those who used to visit us with Mwai and Karemi, I think the other one was Karemi, the ladies who used to come and say jambo to us, we eventually married them. I married my wife, and she's still around, and she's still the only one after about 50 years of marriage. Mwai married, of course, the the one you know from here who comes from Mama. We call her Mama, Mama Jimmy or Mama any of the other boys. And well, as I say, speaking off the cuff, all I can say is that this is a great man. He used to be, he's also kind, because I remember when we were students and he had a little Volkswagen when he was teaching at Makerere. And occasionally when we wanted to go to Kamulu's was a nightclub, a nightclub that was quite frequently attended by university students. And of course, university students had to be back into their room by midnight. Now, if you are lucky enough to be close to Mwai, when he had that little Volkswagen, and he was the resident tutor for Livingston Hall, you could get a ride, go to Kamulu's, come back, and go through his garage, and therefore escape the idea that you'll be booked and therefore not allowed to go out anymore. Now, one of the things that really astonished me, I'm doing this at random, so ladies and gentlemen, don't worry, was the fact that if we went out in his told me that the secret was not to go to bed when you have come back late from from wherever it was, but to do so after you have done your job. So he used to go to the university lecture rooms, deliver a beautiful lecture, and then when he comes back, apparently that's when he went to sleep. Now, this random remembrances can go on and on. So thank you very much for giving me a chance to say goodbye to them.
That was a very humane recollection of an elder. Thank you very much, Solomon. Our last, bado tuko katika hali ya kumkumbuka baba na rais wetu Mwai Kibaki. Naomba kwa heshima, wa mwisho ni aliyefanya kazi naye na alikuwa rafiki wa karibu zaidi, Ambassador Muthaura, for a brief tribute. Kindly, Ambassador, on behalf of all those who work closely with him in government. Ambassador Muthaura. Thank you. Karibu mzee.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Your Excellency, Margaret Kenyatta, the First Lady, Your Excellency, the Vice President of Kenya, Honorable Ruto, Your Excellency, the former Prime Minister, Honorable Raila Odinga, and his spouse, Her Excellency, Raila Odinga. Your Excellency, not Your Excellency, Your Lordship, the Bishop of Nyeri,
may we kindly ask, tunauliza wananchi wote, tuweze kutulia, bado tuko katika hali ya maombi, na tusikize kumbukumbu ya baba yetu. Tafadhali wananchi.
Your Lordship, the Bishop and the clergy, on behalf of the public service that served under the leadership of our departed father, the father of modern Kenya, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, we really wish to convey our condolences, most deep condolences, to his family, Judy Kibaki, Jimmy Kibaki, and his family, and also Judy and her daughter, David, his wife and children, Tony, his wife and children, extended family, including the governor of R.I.P, His Excellency Ruto. We really cannot express enough the loss and the pain we feel about our departed father. All of us in the public service really learned a lot from His Excellency the President. He was our teacher. He empowered all of us in the public service. He empowered the private sector. He empowered our military. He empowered our judicial service. Actually, there is nobody in the public service who cannot say he learned and got a lot of inspiration from our departed president. You remember when he came to power, our GDP was about 14 billion US dollars. When he retired from the leadership, it was around 60 billion US dollars. You know, 14 is from independence, or from the time the country was really started collecting statistics, 14. But only within 10 years, the jump was from 14 to 60. His successor, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, has pushed it, operating on the foundation established by the father of modern Kenya to more than 100 billion US dollars. Today, nobody in the world can take our country lightly. Nobody. We are supposed to be the 5th largest economy in Africa. And we are marching on. We are marching on. How did President Mwai Kibaki go about it? He came up with what was called the Economic Recovery Program, Economic Recovery and Employment Creation Program or strategy during the first 5 years. What surprised everybody, including the World Bank and the IMF, under the leadership of the President, who emphasized empowerment. He empowered the ministers. He empowered the civil servants. He empowered the parastatals and everybody who under responsibility. What happened with that strategy? We surpassed all the targets that were set. The World Bank came, sent a delegation all the way from Washington. World Bank and IMF to find out what had happened in the country. Because everything was going up, and before that, the economy appeared to be pinned down by the structural adjustment regulations. It was like pinned down, and when it came, it's like he just cut the chains, and the economy started bubbling. That is really Mwai Kibaki. What did he do? He focused on the essential foundation of the economy, the infrastructure, the roads. After building the Thika road with a lot of doubting Thomases, just confidence came into the country. There is no project we could not implement under him. He renovated Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Suddenly, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport became the most modern airport in Africa. I remember when he was opening the phase 1 of the current modern Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The World Bank representative said, if you Kenyans can do a project like this so successfully on your own resources, because World Bank was a junior partner, they were contributing only $10 million. Kenyan government, the treasury was contributing $120 million. He said there is no project which we cannot implement. Later, what happened? Of course, it's completion of the Thika Superhighway. It was the completion of the, and I've heard a lot of people talking, nobody has mentioned it, the Isiolo-Moyale Highway. Isiolo-Moyale Highway is about 520 kilometers. It was built, I think, within, I can remember, Your Excellency the President, because you are funding it, I think 3 years, we realized that road. The purpose was to open up northern Kenya to join Kenya with Ethiopia. Because our president, Mwai Kibaki, was an economist. He was to open up space for economic activities for this country. He even pushed a lot about accession of Rwanda into the East African community. He pushed very hard the accession of Burundi into the East African community. And now our current president has pushed very hard the accession of Congo into the community. I saw an article which was being circulated that now the East African Federation is going to be one of the most powerful nations in the world after. No, we have to be ambitious, Your Excellency. We have to be ambitious. But that ambition wasn't developed by the president. He pushed us to design the LAPSET project to open up northern Kenya with the port linking us with South Sudan and linking us with Ethiopia. He used to say, the population is getting squeezed here in the southern part of the country, which is developed. We need to open up the north so that the population can go. And what is really, really very good is that our current president has never rested to make sure those dreams are achieved. So, what can we say? I said he focused on fundamentals, the roads infrastructure. He focused on power infrastructure. What he did, said, let's connect. You know, we had talked about rural electrification for a long time. He said, let us connect all public institutions with the power, all marketplaces, even churches. Let's connect them with the power. Then wananchi will be able to tap power from those points. Before, there used to be 40,000 connections a year. By the time we left, we are doing more than 200,000 connections a year. That's the power. And then, of course, in generation, when we get power, invested a lot on geothermal, which the current government has continued to expand. Geothermal power generation. The other point, which was really a game changer.
Kindly.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, Bishop.
Ambassador.
Your Lordship, I'm concluding. Let me finish just this.
Kindly.
I'm become a bit political. I'm not a politician. What you did, the next point was actually the communication sector. The revolution he brought about with the optic cable that came from Fujairah to Mombasa revolutionized communication sector in this country. And Kenya now is one of the top countries in the world in terms of telecommunications. So these were the foundations. The other one, and I cannot really go without mentioning that, is human capital development. People talk about primary education, but that was step one. Step two was to expand secondary education, which he did by opening up day schools, day secondary schools, and that multiplied, I think, by multiples of 3 or 4 times. The next thing was university education.
Kindly.
From six public universities to 22 public universities. And finally introduced TVET education in the country to empower the youth so that they are productive. TVET all the way from high school to university. Surely, those what I can say, and also thank His Excellency the President because he's carrying that flag. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Allow us to listen to one stanza from the choir, please, before we go to the other tributes.
Vizuri,
you very much. I think it's good that we applaud that message of St. Paul. I invite you to tupige makofi, tumshukuru Mungu kwa maisha ya baba yetu. At this juncture, tungetaka kusema ya kwamba familia ya baba yetu Rais Mwai Kibaki iliomba wawe na fursa baadaye ya kubarikiwa karibu na mwili wa baba yao, na ndipo tutaenda kumalizia hii ibada, na baadaye tutaweza kuwa na maombi rasmi kabla ya kwenda kumlaza pahali ametayarishiwa kwa njia ambayo ni ya kushangaza ya unyenyekevu. Naomba sote tuweze kusoma somo kubwa kutoka kwa huyu baba yetu, na ndio maana kwa heshima yake naomba tutamuonyesha heshima hata mpaka tutakapomlaza. Wale wataweza kuwepo na wale wasio kuwepo, tukifuatilia tuweze kwa nchi yetu kumpa heshima tosha. At this junction now, allow me to invite for special tributes, brief tributes from two other speakers whom we kindly ask to give their kind tribute with great love for this great man. Allow me to invite now at this moment first our former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to kindly come and deliver to us his memory and his wishes for this fallen hero. Karibu Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Karibu sana.
Your Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, First Lady Mama Margaret Kenyatta, Deputy President Archbishop Anthony Muheria, and all the clergy, the family of our departed Mzee Emilio Mwai Kibaki, waombolezaji wote ambao wamefika hapa. God is good and all the times. Asanteni sana. We have come, as I said yesterday, to take final farewell to a great Kenyan patriot. Now, I want to say a few things today about Mwai Kibaki. I want to say that the life and history of Mwai Kibaki is very much contemporaneous with the history of independent Kenya. Because as you said, Kibaki resigned from teaching to come and join the liberation movement. He was the chief executive officer of the most vibrant national movement for liberation, KANU. And in the elections of 1963, KANU won the elections, beating the then opposition KADU. Then, after that, Kenya became first independent, eventually a republic. So he was assistant minister, vice president, and a president, leader of opposition. But development in Kenya after independence are very much akin to what took place in the rest of the African continent. The constitution that brought independence was a fairly liberal constitution with a devolved system of government called Majimbo. Through a series of amendments, Majimbo was disbanded. Then also several amendments were introduced to the Constitution, which basically removed power from the periphery to the center. We ended up with a very authoritarian, or what we call imperial presidency. To cap it all, in 1982, they brought Section 2A, which introduced a single-party system. They was introduced by the then Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, our friend Charles Jonjo. Mwai Kibaki is the one who seconded it. I'm saying this because it's good for us to say it. We have had a long discussion with him. He did not know the implications. He later on himself became a victim of it all. Because in 1988, they brought Mulolongo system of election. They called them that open democracy. Then, after that, they did the reshuffle and was removed from being vice president, made minister of health. He did not feel humiliated. He stayed there as a gentleman. Some of us were fighting for repeal of Section 2A and reintroduction of multi-party politics. But because he was inside that system, he said that it is not possible to introduce a multi-party system. But those of us who were calling for it were like somebody cutting a mugumo tree, the razor blade. Fortunately, with the fall of Berlin Wall, the wind of change that was blowing in Eastern Europe began to also blow in Africa. And through it, Section 2A went. And now we are allowed to form a political party. And Kibaki said that in his deep mind, he has always cherished multi-party system. And immediately resigned from KANU to form DP. So he joined us. We were already then in Ford. And he joined DP. Then Ford also eventually split into Ford Kenya and Ford Asili. So we now have Ford Kenya, Ford Asili, DP. We try to bring these people together. Ken Matiba, Jaramogi, and Kibaki. Eventually tried to, with Kibaki's people, were negotiating. Uncle George Mohoho is here. And the late John Keane, Gengi Mugai, we tried to negotiate. It was not possible. And we said that if you guys don't agree to hang together, we shall be hanged separately. So we went to the elections, and truly they were hanged separately. One whole post there for Matiba, one for Kibaki, one for Jaramogi. So, but we came together now in the opposition. First Matiba was the leader, then Jaramogi. Then both of them eventually went. In 1997, we now tried to come together again. There was Kibaki, Amalwa Kijana, Charity Ngilu, and yours truly. To try to come together. The late Mr. Leakey and Paul Mwite tried to mediate to bring us together. It did not work. Then again, we were hung separately. One for Kibaki, Raila, Amalwa, and Charity. So we stayed together like that. Come 2002, We were coming together again. We were separate. And then we came together to try to talk. And I was emphasizing that this time round, please, let us agree to have one candidate. And the negotiation took too long. The crowd was already in Uhuru Park. It was packed. They are saying, oh, let us go and tell the crowd that, oh, we will come back in 2 weeks' time. Now we have united. Come back in 2 weeks' time and tell them who is our candidate. I realized that we saw it in 92, we saw it again in 97, it's not going to work again. So this time around I decided to take the debate to the wananchi. Then I asked them, because I was the last person to speak, I asked them, si mzee Kibaki tosha? And the crowd roared back, Kibaki tosha, na wakaanza kuimba, yote yawezekana bila Mwai. That is the NAC revolution. The rest is no details. But I was saying this because I saw where we were, and we had a long discussion with Mwai Kibaki. In my view, Mwai Kibaki had the knowledge, the experience that we needed in that period of transition. I got actually hit so hard. By the time I arrived home, my wife has received so many phone calls saying how I had messed up. But I said there's no going back. We'll move forward together with Mwai Kibaki. So I'm here with my wife Aida there, and my elder brother Dr. Uhuru. We've come here as the family of Jaramogi. Now we sat down and signed an MOU. That is what we are going to do after we formed government. This famous or infamous MOU. And when we were negotiating, everybody was very fresh. Kibaki is the one who suggested we need only 3 months. We will have passed that new constitution. Unfortunately, when we left, we started the campaign. And we went to a campaign in Kitui. We ran around and we slept in the residence of Mr. Musila, former PC. When we left, we went for rallies in Kitui town, came back to Kitui town. We were rushing back now to Nairobi. My car was leading. But then they told me Kibaki was in a rush for another appointment in Nairobi. So I let them pass. So we were following. Then we come toward the junction there, Machakos Junction, and the accident. So from there, we put them in a car, Musila's car, and we were following, coming to Nairobi. We were found in Nairobi Hospital. We arrived at Nairobi Hospital, and the crowd is there. He's taken inside and for treatment, emergency. The crowd was so anxious, what's happening? So I came out and I told them, look, our captain is injured, but the march will continue, and we shall win this march. And after that, we evacuated Kibaki to London for treatment. And he came back. He was a very strong man. Mwai Kibaki, apart from being brilliant, brainy, he's also got a very strong physical constitution. Because he has gone through several challenges that I know. Then, after that, when he came back, followed another one, which was now again admitted in Nairobi Hospital. So then now we are victorious, we won the elections, and what happened is that a group that was around Kibaki, the reason why I've always said this is not Kibaki, there was a clique that was around him which took charge. And they're the ones who were responsible for what happened, for relegation on the MOU that we had signed. But he said, some of our people making noise, oh, this is betrayal and so on. I said, no, this is not Kibaki. Let us stay in the government. Then came the issue of the Katiba. There are those who did not want the Katiba that had been drafted. Then you know how it happened, bananas and oranges. And when that happened, then we were thrown out of government. We met again now in the elections. But when we met, then they were in crisis. We negotiated with Mwai Kibaki and eventually agreed that Kenya is bigger than all of us. So we must unite together in the interest of Kenya. We formed a grand coalition government. Kibaki president, yours truly the prime minister. Uhuru should have told you how we ran the government together. Because Francis, if there's somebody who was really responsible for the success of our government, is this gentleman, this old man called Francis Mudhaura. He knows, he did not tell you the role that yours truly played in infrastructure development. In terms of roads, I was the one who took the pain of demolishing structures so that we could construct those roads. And I was censored in the cabinet, but Kibaki defended me in the cabinet. I said, where we are demolishing structures are structures which are built on road reserves, and those people have already been compensated. So Kibaki has said, kama watu wanajenga kwa barabara, ibomolewe. Ibomolewe. Yes, what do you want us to do? And that is what happened. We sat together and we created what is called the National Economic and Social Council, NESC, as a think tank of the government. And that NESC is what came up with most of these projects. There's LAPSET, SGR, the Konza, ICT City, special economic zones. All these came about as a result of the discussions in the think tank. What I want to say is that Mwai Kibaki is somebody with a clear foresight and is ready to negotiate and also to take in new ideas. And through that, he managed to open the government and get new progressive ideas about development. So here, we've come today to say goodbye to Mwai Kibaki. He was transformative. He came up with progressive ideas and he was able to bring all of us together and create a team that was ready to work for Kenya and say that Kenya first, everybody else is second. And therefore, we are paying a tribute to a great Kenyan leader. Fare thee well, Mwai Kibaki. In your journey, convey our greetings to Hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, to Thomas Joseph Mboya. Say farewell also to Nyayo when you meet him. Rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We thank you very much. At this juncture, allow me also now to invite the Deputy President, the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Samoei Ruto, to also convey his remarks. Wananchi watoka, tunawaomba tuweze kutulia kwa heshima ya baba yetu. Your Excellency, the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri yetu ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu, Mama Margaret Kenyatta, mama wetu wa taifa, familia ya rais wetu wa tatu, Judy na familia yako, Jimmy na familia yako, David na familia yako, Anthony na familia yako, pamoja na extended family ya mzee wetu, baba wa taifa wa tatu, mzee Mwai Kibaki. Your graces and your lordships, bishops, ndugu viongozi wote wenzangu walio hapa, arata Mwai wake vake Moriega, Moriega renge, Mwathani agosho, Ngai no mwega, na ende ciothe. Mheshimiwa Rais, tumekuja hapa wewe ukituongoza kama kiongozi wetu wa taifa, tuje tufariji familia ya rais wetu wa tatu. Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki alikuwa baba wa taifa na alikuwa baba ya watu wengi mbali na familia yake. And in a very special way, I want to thank the Mwai Kibaki family for agreeing to share your father with the rest of us who came to know him. We are truly grateful. Mwai Kibaki was a father to you, but he also became a father to many other Kenyans. We have come here to mourn his demise, but to also celebrate him as a father of the nation of Kenya. To the people of Thongori and Othaya, thank you very much for bringing up a great Kenyan who today we are celebrating. Tunawashukuru sana. Mzee baba wetu Mwai Kibaki kutoka hapa Thongori hapa Othaya, katika kijiji ambacho ni kama ile ya Bethlehemu ya Yesu ambaye haikuwa inajulikana sana, lakini he accomplished many things. From here, he became a great scholar. he became a great economist, he became a great leader, and of course, a great president and a father of the nation. If there is a demonstration of bottom-up, we can learn from Mwai Kibaki. We must, inspired by President Mwai Kibaki, we must keep the doors of opportunity for many more children in this village and in other villages of Kenya, inspired by Mwai Kibaki, that they too can be great in their nation if they work hard and if they pray. Mudhaura has said, and I agree with him, that Mwai Kibaki is the father of modern day Kenya. It is true. Mwai Kibaki planted the seeds of what has become the greatest transformation of our infrastructure under him and under our fourth president, President Uhuru Kenyatta. He laid the foundation, the man who lays here today. And even as he thought about big infrastructure projects, Mwai Kibaki did not forget the ordinary people. He did not forget. And that is why, under Mwai Kibaki, he made sure that motorbikes were zero rated. And that is when Border came into being. And today, it is a sector that hires close to 1.4 million Kenyans. He was great, but he was also simple. And so, as we celebrate his life, as we celebrate Mwai Kibaki, we must remember that in him we had an embodiment of the unity of our nation. At a very personal level, allow me, Bishop, to say, when my boss, President Kenyatta, and I were in trouble with the ICC cases, Mwai Kibaki stood as a father to us. At a very personal level again, when I became his Minister for Agriculture, and me and my peers, Romano Kiome, went to see him about the challenges we were having in fertilizer, which had gone up to about 5,000 shillings a 50-kilogram bag. His wisdom and understanding gave us the opportunity, under his guidance, to reduce the prices of fertilizer to 2,500. And the first subsidized fertilizer in Kenya was brought about by the third president, President Mwai Kibaki. At a very personal level again, when I was promoted to the Ministry of Higher Education, and we had a backlog of university students, under his guidance again, we managed to have another double intake that henceforth removed the backlog that students had to wait for at least 2 years to be able to go to university after they complete their Form 4. And finally, as Mudawara has said, under President Kibaki's guidance, my peers at the Ministry of Higher Education, Professor Kiamba and I, under his guidance, we started to roll out the Tibet program that President Uhuru Kenyatta has built upon, and that is why we have close to 200 Tibet institutes across the country. So, at a very personal level, I can attest, and I am a witness, and I can bear testimony that Mwai Kibaki is the father of modern-day Kenya. And therefore, it is befitting that we celebrate his life and we learn lessons from him. And I think a befitting send-off to all of us as we celebrate the third president of Kenya is for us to go into this election and make sure that election will be peaceful and that it won't be necessary for us to have a handshake, that the election will be peaceful. I think we owe it to President Mwai Kibaki as we send him off. From my wife Rachel and children to Mzee Mwai Kibaki and his family, fare thee well. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Allow me one minute, Bishop. In our midst, we have many leaders. Let me ask all the MCAs to stand up. Asante sana. Thank you very much. A clap for the MCAs. Let me request all members of parliament to stand up. Wale wote waliokuja. Asante sana waheshimiwa kwa kuja ili tuweze kusindikiza mzee wetu. Let me request all the senators to stand up so that we can recognize you. Thank you very much. Those are our senators who came to bid farewell. Let me request all the governors and deputy governors to stand up so that we can recognize you. Tuwapigie makofi. Asante sana. In our midst also we have our former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi, and we have our former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka in our midst. Thank you very much, my brother. And I don't know whether we have Mzee Mudi Awori, who was also a Vice President to Mwai Kibaki. He was there yesterday. Thank you very much. I thought of recognizing those leaders. Asante sana.
Thank you. Maybe at the same breath, may we recognize the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate. Thank you. May we also recognize the judiciary represented here by Lady Justice Pome. Thank you. At this juncture, we wish to honor the request of the family that they would like to have a special blessing here, together with our dear President, Uhuru Kenyatta, and our dear First Lady. So I'll kindly request that the family, the immediate family, come nearby and request Bishop Peter Kihara to lead that prayer over the family. I request the choir to sing just one stanza to give a chance for the family, and then we invite His Excellency the President before we invite him for the final remarks and condoling message to the family. One stanza, please, choir. Your Excellency the President, you can wait until they set themselves up. One stanza. At this juncture, we will ask all to be seated. We will invite, we are here with all the religious leaders who are here present. We request the religious leaders, we will request all the religious leaders to stand up, both those who are here from the various religions and faiths. We also have some religious leaders in our midst. I will kindly request you, if you are there, just stand where you are and extend your hand over this family as a prayer is being led by Bishop Kihara. We pray for this beloved family who have taken care of our former president. At the same time, a prayer of our nation. Dear brothers and sisters, religious leaders, for those who can extend their hand, please extend your hands. For brother Muslims, we can hold the gesture of prayer as you normally do. Bishop Peter Kihara.
Mungu Baba, Mungu Mwana, Mungu Roho Mtakatifu, Tatu Mtakatifu, tunakushukuru sana. Kwani mema, uzima na baraka zote zinatoka kwako. Maisha yetu ni zawadi yako ile muhimu sana. Tuko hapa kusherekea maisha na huduma huyu mwanao Emilio Mwai Kibaki ambaye ulimuita, alitenda maishani mwake, na zaidi kama mtumishi katika nyanja zote. Umemuita wakati tunasherehekea ufuko wa mwanao, na sasa ukamvuita apumzike. Tuko hapa leo kuomba pamoja. Kama kuna mabaki ya machache ulitaka alipe, sadaka hii tumetoa na nyingine nyingi, usikie maombi yetu na umrehemu. Tuko hapa kusherehekea maisha yake pamoja na familia hii iliyoko hapa, pamoja na marafiki walioko karibu na mbali, kwa sababu kwa njia yake uliguza maisha yetu na taifa letu na dunia nzima. Na kwa hivyo tunaomba baraka yako ya kipekee ishuke juu ya familia yake, hii ndogo na ile kubwa, na kwa marafiki wote walioguzwa na tendo lako la kumuita apumzike kwako. Uwafariji wewe Baba. Hawana mwingine karibu nao. Wanajisikia kimwili wamedhoofika kwa sababu mzee anayelala hapa alikuwa kikingi kilichosimama imara na kusimamisha maisha yao kama tuliosikia kutoka wote wale wandogo na wakubwa. Basi twaomba Roho wako aendelee kuwafariji kila mmoja, ili waweze kutembea na safari ya maisha, waweze kufanya majukumu yao na nguvu inayotoka kwako, ili waweze kuiga mfano bora ya huyu babao, ndugu yao, pia mwanao ambao ni ndugu yetu kwa kiimani, aliguza zote katika Kenya yetu. tupe faraja, tuongezee imani, tuongezee pia matumaini, ili tuendelee kujua kama anapumzika kwako vile alifariji Kenya katika kazi zake zote, utaendelea kufanya hivyo kwa sala zake kutoka mbinguni. Twaomba umbariki na wape nguvu familia yake, ili pengo aliloacha katika familia hiyo kubwa na ndogo, wajisikie sala zake zinawapa nguvu kila siku, waweze kutimiza mfano bora aliowaachia. Pia tuombee Rais wetu Uhuru Mwai Kenyatta, ambaye pia anaendelea katika huduma hiyo ya kuonyesha mfano wa baba wa taifa. Hata yeye ametingizwa na kumuondolea huyu rafiki yake wa ndani. Mpe nguvu hata yeye, mpe busara, mpe matumaini, ili aendelee kuongoza taifa hili letu liweze kufikia mengi, akimuiga na akifuata mifano ya huyu baba Emilio ambaye analala hapa, tunayetoa kwako kwa sababu umemuita. Tupunguze zote taifa la Kenya majonzi, kwa sababu ulimpa talanta mbalimbali, akatumia zote zikamazaa matunda, na yote imefahamu na imeguzwa na kujitolea kwake kwa unyenyekevu. Wapatie wote wanaoshiriki na rais wetu katika serikali na nyadhifa mbalimbali viongozi busara ya kuunganisha Mwai Kibaki, ili hata yeye aendelee kuongeza hatua ya maendeleo ya kimwili na ya kiroho kwa wote bila ubaguzi, kwa wote kwa ushirikiano, kwa wote kwa amani. Haya hata baba, tunaomba tukijua utasikia maombi yetu, hata yale ambayo hatuwezi kueleza kwa maneno. Roho wako ambaye ametuunganisha hapa atayafikisha kwako, na yote tunaomba kwa njia ya Yesu Kristo Bwana wetu.
Amina.
Mwenyezi Mungu ambariki familia na taifa kwa jina la Baba na la Mwana na la Roho Mtakatifu.
Asante sana Askofu Peter Kihara. Na kwa sasa tunaomba tuweze familia kurejea. We can go back at this moment. We want to bring as well the condolence message of the Emeritus Archbishop Peter Cairo, who was not able to join us today as we had to share functions, but he brings his condolence to the family, to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya. At this moment, it is now my duty, my humble duty, to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to also convey his message of condolences and tribute to the nation and to the family. His Excellency, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Let us welcome him. Your Excellency, President, sir.
Thank you very much. Tafadhali tuketi. Familia ya marehemu rais wetu wa tatu Mheshimiwa Emilio Mwai wa Kibaki, Your Grace, Baba Askofu, maaskofu na mapadre wote ambao wako hapa, na wananchi wote, mimi sina mengi leo. Ya kumuomboleza mzee ambaye amekuwa baba wa taifa na baba wa wengi katika taifa hili letu la Kenya. Leo hii yale ambaye tumesikia kutoka baba askofu, kwangu mimi amenitoshea. Tuko hapa kumsindikiza kwa heshima mzee wetu katika safari yake ya mwisho, na pia kuungana na familia yake katika hiyo ibada ya misa ambaye tumekamilisha, na kuhakikishia familia ya kwamba safari ambaye tumetembea na mzee haijaisha, kwa sababu mzee amepumzika, na tutaendelea kuwa pamoja, na tuko tayari kuendelea kusaidiana pamoja nanyi na Wakenya wote wanawaombea imani na amani katika roho zenu, mkijua ya kwamba marafiki ni wengi kutoka kila kona ya Kenya na dunia mzima. So you are not standing alone. We are together with you, and we shall continue to be together with you. La mwisho, sisi kama Wakenya tusiseme tu kwa mdomo, lakini kwa vitendo, kwa fikira. Tumuige huyu mzee katika yale ambaye tunatenda katika maisha yetu, na sina shaka tukifanya haya Mungu ataibariki na ataendelea kuibariki taifa letu la Kenya. Kwa hayo machache na ya mwisho, ni kwa wananchi wa Othaya na Nyeri County kwa jumla, asanteni sana kwa kutupatia huyu mzee ambaye ametendea nchi, ametendea Afrika Mashariki na Afrika na ulimwengu mzima kwa dhati, na hatutamsahau na tutaendelea kuwa pamoja nanyi. Mungu na amlaze mzee wetu pahali pema. Mungu na ibariki taifa letu la Kenya. Mungu na ibariki familia ambaye imewachwa nyuma na mzee na wazazi wao, kwa sababu sio kipindi kirefu ambapo tulikuwa hapa tena tukimsindikiza mama wa boma hili. Kwa hivyo, accept our condolences, our respect and our prayers, and may the Almighty God rest this great soul in eternal peace. Asanteni sana.
Let us applaud our dear President, please. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, the President, for your brief and kind remarks. Kindly let's be seated. We have now come to the end of our service, and we will conclude with a final prayer. Naomba tuweze tuketi tafadhalini. Na sasa ombi la mwisho, burudani ambayo tutaongoza hapa chini karibu na jeneza la mpendwa wetu. Basi baada ya hayo tutaweza kukabidhi watu wa jeshi KDF waweze kuendeza sherehe na kumsindikiza huyu baba. Karibu maaskofu kwa burudani ya mwisho.
Tafadhali naomba kwa heshima tuweze kusimama.
Let us pray. Trusting in God, we have prayed together for his servant, Mwai Kibaki, and now we come in the last farewell. There is sadness in parting, but we take the comfort in the hope that one day we shall see him again and enjoy his friendship. Although his congregation will disperse in sorrow, the mercy of God will gather us together again in the joy of his kingdom. Therefore, let us console one another in the faith of Christ. Saints of God, come to his aid, hasten to meet him, angels of God, angels of the Lord. Receive his soul and present him to God the Most High. May Christ who called you take you to himself. May angels lead you to the bosom of Abraham. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace.
Our Father who art in heaven,